the guy, my guy, the right-hand man, Rich. What's happening?
Slow motion, fan. What's good with you?
You know
Dropping
what it
shit over here.
A, I am super excited to be here with you right now, Rich. I'm super excited if you're watching this to announce this is my podcast. This is mine, my baby.
Straight up.
Straight up. School's Guilty Pleasures, man. If you've been a fan of the Culture Garden or you've been hanging around, then you know that School loves a good, bad movie. And that's what this is. That's what this podcast will be. It will be separate from the Culture Garden. So if you're a good, bad movie junkie or a bad, good movie junkie or whatever you want to call it, however you want to word it, this is the podcast for you.
Yeah, man. You got an affinity for that bullshit.
Bro, I love it. Like not to keep go get the rambling, but there used to be, when DVDs were huge, there used to be a store called Buybacks, and they sold movies, like just
the deals. They had the deals.
Super deals. And one of the deals was buy 3 movies, get 1 free. And they had to be equal or lesser value. So I would go in there, I would buy 3 movies, and that 4th one would always be some bullshit. And that's how I would stumble across, Who Made the Potato Salad, See No Evil, Hear No Evil, Overboard by Adam Sandler. If you know, like movies like that is what this podcast is for. So I'm super excited to get into it. As you can see, the title is Wild Wild West because not even the greats can escape this bullshit. So
hold on real quick, man. Let me stop real quick and give you some credit. You know what I mean? I know you just gave us the rundown, but I want to make sure people are aware. First of all, shout out to Ray P.
Ray Pizzle.
Culture Garden. But I want to give you credit, School, because you have a certain knack and, like I said, an affinity for these type of films. And I say it jokingly to you all the time.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of gems. Every now and then you dig through the barrel, you can find one that's, yes, it's bad, but it is good at the same time. I'll never forget the moment you introduced Who Made the Potato Salad to me. And how many people I've gotten hip to that film since. School bought that for a Christmas gift for me one year. Or a birthday gift, one of the two. They back to back, so it doesn't matter. But
not to cut you off, but if niggas knew how much that shit cost,
yeah, man,
it's the gem for real.
It is. It really is. So those type of films, man, and just a lot of the stuff we grew up watching.
Yep.
I think films like The Breaks,
man.
I'll talk more about some other films when we get into the conversation of this one. But I'm excited for you and to. This journey you're about to take. I'm not necessarily going to be on every episode. There's some special movies that are terrible, good movies that schools watch with other people that have certain, moments and memories. Yeah. So like I say, this is going to be his joint, but I'm excited to join you for the first one. And I'm sure I'm going to be on a lot of them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these movies hold weight with us too. In the rundown and all of that. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to getting this conversation started. Oh, well, I guess that's an overstatement. I'm not necessarily looking forward to it. But I'm looking forward to rapping with you because I got questions for you, bro.
I'm glad.
We'll get into our history with Wild Wild West and all that. But go ahead, bro. I just want to tell people this is the guy for good bad movies. If you want to watch some trash and Tubi, yes. School will definitely be digging in the Tubi bag as well. Now those I definitely want to be on. I love Tubi. I'm not even joking.
I got a few joints for Tubi that are just like, wow. Another shout out to Lil Sus. Shout out to our boy Mario, because he will definitely be on this. Lil Sus gonna be on. Glitter is one of that's our shit. Glitter, Mariah Carey movie. I know somebody looking like, what? Yeah,
they doing what I just did. Just chuckle like, all right. Turn this shit off.
Yeah, turn this shit off. And Glitter is a good movie, man. I stand by that. So the one question I have is for a person like you, because we've been going back and forth on Wild Wild West for years, like almost to the point where I couldn't get you. I almost had to create this fucking podcast to get you to watch this.
What you mean almost? You did create this podcast for me to watch this. I still all the years we're talking decade plus of you trying to get me to watch Wild Wild West. I've seen it before, obviously, but I kind of chuckle at School, man. Get out of here.
Yeah,
Scram,
yeah,
beat it.
yeah. You
So
definitely done.
when we started Culture Garden, one of the things he even said was, "I'm geek because even when we did our Will episode, like you mentioned,
Yeah,
I never watched Wild Wild West
I
when I
know.
prepped for that. I
Yep.
just didn't. I stayed away from this. So that you making a podcast is the only reason I even watched this film.
So my question to you is, what's your issues with Wild Wild West? Because I'm
Come
I'm
on,
ready to
man.
defend this Sunday.
How much time we got, bruh? Well, I guess for one, I don't understand. Listen, art is subjective, right?
Okay.
So I get away from trying to argue people's opinions. You know,
Right.
if you love Jay-Z, you love Jay-Z. If you love Nas, you love Nas. If you
Right.
love, Pac, you love Pac. It just is what it is. You're not going to convince those people differently.
Definitely.
However, this slapstick kind of comedy isn't for me.
Yeah.
And that's weird to say because if you know me, you know how much I love Dumb and Dumber,
Mm-hmm.
Adam Sandler movies. And I was thinking earlier, I haven't watched like a Billy Madison in years,
Yeah.
over a decade. And I'm wondering, and I'm sure it will, but I'm wondering how much it still holds weight with me because that's a lot of slapstick comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in that puberty age of just getting weak
Yeah.
at all this dumb shit. But that's not really my genre, man, when it comes to it. And this film is the worst type because it takes a star. I mean, Will Smith was the star in Hollywood at this time.
Major.
And you just kind of wasted. I don't even want to say wasted performance. Now, Will is a saving grace of this film. I can't say anything bad about him, but just the storyline, the plot, like I said, the money grab. You mentioned earlier, they're trying to take these 60s films or television shows, excuse me. But even when you think of like a Starsky and Hutch, stuff like that still understands what it is. It's kind of making fun of itself throughout.
Right.
There was reports that they had to reshoot scenes in Wild Wild West because test audience weren't aware that it was supposed to be a comedy.
Yeah.
So I think it tried to take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
And the jokes just didn't hit. Like the jokes were lazy. The chemistry wasn't there. It just didn't work. It was just one of those things from top to bottom that just didn't work. And it's confusing to watch. I have no interest in whether they get to Utah. I don't care about President Grant getting shot up. I don't care about the tarantula. I don't care about none of that shit. Like, I really don't. And they don't do a good job of me caring. Or making me care, excuse me.
Okay, listen, I can agree with you wholeheartedly on a few of those. Now,
because I want to know why you love this movie so much. Like, that's what I genuinely came here to talk to you about.
Okay, I think so. Here's my thing with my love for this movie. I believe that it is the Will Smith factor in 1999, what Will Smith meant to us. And when I say us, I mean the culture, at this time I was a 10-year-old young man, so he was it. This is 90. If you don't know, 97 was one of his biggest years of his career. He won a Grammy. He won, he sold millions of albums. He was that guy.
Men in Black.
Men in Black. Like, obviously the soundtrack, he had a number one single with Wild Wild West with Cisco and Kool Moe Dee. And so Will was just that deal. The problem to me with the movie, honestly, is the casting. Outside of Will Smith, he was carrying
like,
this shit by himself.
Why was Salma Hayek in this film? Why was that character? Why was Rita a character?
Exactly.
Like, why do we find out at the end it's supposed to be some big reveal that that's her husband and not her father?
Not her.
Like, why? Yep. And they just walk away? Like, I don't. What?
Yeah. It clearly was a writing issues, but I definitely hate the blame that Will gets for this movie, and that's why I defend this movie so hard. It's because Will didn't deserve any of the hate he got. He was just doing what he was, what he do. They offered me 35 mil, I'm there.
So damn, he got paid 35 million for this.
Listen,
I ain't mad at him. Whatever he got, even if it was 20, I know he was a $20 million man, but I'm doing it too. Like, listen, you paying me 20 million, especially if it's a movie, whatever. But there are a few things that I read that said Will Smith was miscast.
Yes, it was,
and I was confused by that. I wonder if they meant that in the way that I think it, which is, don't get somebody like Will Smith for this bullshit. or are they saying that he didn't do a good job of Jim West?
No, I believe this is what I think when they say he was miscast. I think that when they cast Will Smith as Jim West, you add those racial tones in it. You know what I mean? Like if you've ever seen um, any of the original Wild Wild West shows,
He was white.
yeah, he's white and it's of the West, and it has a Civil War feel vibe to it, but it's not like punching you in the mouth with the racism. Like once you add Will Smith to this movie, you have to add the racial tones because he's clearly in places that his
Captain
black
America
ass
didn't
shouldn't be.
Captain America didn't. They skipped over that shit. Captain America would have been racist as fuck.
It should have been, and I'd have respected it more.
I kind of respect Wild Wild West for having the racial undertones. And those are once again, I have a sick sense of humor. Slapstick ain't my thing, but dark comedy is. I do think those were like the funniest parts of the movie.
Yeah, that's what I told you. Like some of the funniest parts are those racial undertones. What are you doing here, boy? I just sir, I didn't want to have to break your nose. Like,
yeah, man. As long as it's not harmful,
yeah,
and hateful. Well, I mean, it's probably hateful, but you know what I mean. We're not gonna dissect Wild Wild West in that way, but it worked for this shit because and Will got to give it back.
Okay, so it's 99. Who are you casting? I know they mentioned the Tom Cruise, but it's like, who can bring that, that sex appeal in 99?
But do you need it? Does this role need that? I guess so, because it got to be the guy that everybody wants, like the women want. And the guys want to be that old school type of thing.
You know why they say this?
I honestly think Kevin Kline was the miscast.
I agree.
He was the one that was supposed to be in this film, and I if you know anything about this film, which God bless you if you don't,
he said God
bless. You know that George Clooney was supposed to be that role. And him and Sonnenfeld got into it, and he dropped out of the role.
Yeah, and you know why?
He felt it was a side part.
He want no side part.
Yeah, he wanted to be the star, but I don't know if it's funny that both of these guys, Clooney and Will Smith, went on and 2 years later to release incredible movies with Ali and Ocean's 11.
Exactly.
But I think that would have been a good tandem because that was still fresh, like not too far removed from ER, George Clooney.
Yes, but I
think the movie still would have sucked because the writing is bad. Like you can't save this. You got to be Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop to save something like this.
Yeah, I was going to say if you put now let's say we put George Clooney. Side note, that is a category that that we'll get into a little heavier in future episodes. Is how do we make this movie better, if possible? So,
bro, I racked my brain with that question, and I just can't. You gotta blow it up and start over. Like you just can't.
Now, if we switch this movie and we do take George Clooney, and we have George Clooney, we have Will Smith. Let's say Will Smith plays Artemis. That might even be worse with the racial undertones. You know what I mean? Like, because now you ain't saying no to playing Yessa Massa, is you?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just trying to think because the reason I say Clooney is Klein is because Sonnenfeld, obviously, he worked with Will Smith on Men in Black, the Men in Black series.
Yes.
And I think he was trying to do was reenact that Tommy Lee Jones as the straight man and Will Smith as the funny guy.
I agree.
But Kevin Kline wasn't that guy. But George Clooney, once again, if you watch Ocean's 11 or a lot of his work, he plays that dry comedy sensory, like him and Brad Pitt roll off each other so well. Perfect. So I think he could have easily done that with Will Smith. And he's got some acting chops. Yeah, so I think it would have worked. Their chemistry. A big complaint about this film is their chemistry. Their chemistry just seems forced.
You can see it in the movie that Kevin Kline didn't like being second fiddle to Will. He didn't like being a straight man. And any chance he got, he tried to, make a joke or do something funny. And it's like, bro, we don't need that from you.
Yeah, I think the whole thing, casting was awful in this film, and the story and the usage and all of it, man. It just didn't work. It just I hate to be so elementary with the description, but it just didn't work for some reason. As Ray P would say, it didn't curl all the way over. all the pieces didn't come together. I don't think they knew. This feels like they knew kind of what they wanted to do, and there were certain things in their head that they knew, like, this has to be in the movie.
Yeah.
They didn't have the other filler pieces together.
Exactly.
So the rest of it was just some bullshit. And when it comes out on screen.
And when you think about this movie has 4 Oscar nominees in it, 3 winners.
Bruh, that's wild. Insane. There's great actors in this film.
That's insane.
That's the wild part about this. That's what we talked about it on Culture Garden last week with Crash. And I said one of the worst things for Crash is that they won Best Picture. One of the worst things for Wild West is you have these accomplished stars, not just great actors. You have stars.
Accomplished. Yep.
You know what I mean? And you come out with this, like, what are y'all doing? But this is the era where they were just making anything, man. Freddy Got Fingered got made a couple years after this. So for real, that's School wants to talk about that film one day. That's up to him.
Oh yeah, we talking about that.
Not we, nigga. You and whatever guest you have. I'm not talking about that shit, man. School's Guilty Pleasure will be over. This shit be pulled from YouTube. Talk about that shit if you want to.
Oh man, that shit's silly, man.
You gonna get into the cast, man? You gonna get a show some love to the cast?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and show some love to the cast, man. We have Will Smith playing Jim West. I believe he was Marshal, U.S. Marshal. No, U.S. Captain. Army. Sorry, Captain Army. Yeah. Jim West, and then there was U.S.
Desperado. That's what he was.
Desperado.
Rough Rider. No, you don't want nada.
Artemis. I can't say this nigga's name. Artemis Gordon. Yeah, Artemis Gordon, Eric Gordon, that corny ass shit. That shit was so corny. And then
it's your shit. It's your movie.
Bloodbath McGrath. Now, Ted Levine, aka Bloodbath McGrath, he's in one of my favorite actors of all time. He's in Monk, one of my favorite shows of all time. He plays Captain Meyer or Stettlemyer, Ted Stettlemyer from Monk. So he's a hell of an actor. He also does
Buffalo Bill.
Yes, Buffalo Bill. He also does the voice of Rusty Nail from Joyride. That's another one that's probably gonna be on here. That's my shit. Candy Cane. Yeah, that's my shit, man.
ain't nobody see Ted Levine ain't even seen Joyride, nigga.
Selma Hayek in here looking like butter. Like, my goodness. But honestly, outside of that, that's the cast. Like, there's no one.
Well, I do want to shout out a couple people.
Go ahead.
So, Emmett Walsh, he played Coleman.
Okay.
I really want to shout him out because my man's is 88 years old and still working. He was in something in 2023. So shout out to him and his good health. Glad that he's still, with us and working. Like I said, being active.
Absolutely.
And also, you can't skip past Garcelle Beveau as Belle.
Oh,
I know she was barely in the movie. I know she was barely in the movie.
Nancy.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Garcelle. Still looking good.
Still looking good. I'm so sorry, Miss Fancy. Don't cancel me. That nigga said, now I'm working.
Hey, man, this shit Will was above this.
Will was above this, man, but they all got one. They all got, especially after you looking for that Oscar or, around 98, 99, Will thought he figured it out. He said, I'm looking at the top 10 highest grossing films of all time, and they all were pretty much sci-fi. And he went for it, Men in Black, Independence Day. Then what was after this? He did iRobot.
He did Enemy of the State the year before in 98, but that wasn't sci-fi, even though it did have a little bit of like political thriller stuff to it. You know what? Not to cut you off, but that is one thing I am excited for with your podcast.
Yeah.
The concept that every star has a bad movie like this. Me and School always joke about Ricochet, which stars Denzel Washington. I believe it came out in 91. So he had already won his Best Supporting. Yeah, John Lithgow was in it. And it's just a silly, when you watch the film, it's like Denzel was in this.
Yep.
And that's the same thing that you feel with it makes sense for. I mentioned this last week, and I can't remember what the damn name of this movie is that Denzel was in the 80s when he played the Jamaican detective or the Caribbean detective.
Yeah.
But back in that early of his career, you didn't know who Denzel was. He wasn't, or Denzel as we should call him. He wasn't who he is today. Exactly. So it made sense when you look at it. But at 91, you knew who he was. So to see him in Ricochet was just a little bit silly. I'm gonna say this name before I go crazy. It is the Mighty Quinn.
The Mighty Quinn. That's it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, and yes, I've seen it. But yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited to get into actors.
Yep.
Terrible movies.
Yeah, they all, like I said, they all have one, whether it's a money grab or what. Sometimes it's before an Oscar nod. Usually though, it's after. Like you get that Oscar nod and you just phew, the next movie is usually the money grab. Here's 35 mil to play whatever. And you're like, all right, cool. I'm with it.
That's remember back when everybody was doing superhero movies, back before Marvel made that shit cool. Back in the 90s and stuff, when they was doing superhero movies, they was getting them checks.
Yep. And we gonna have a whole
matter of fact, I just hit you up and talked about Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Like, I can't wait till you talk about that on these podcasts. Man, all right, man, my bad. Back to unfortunately, back to Wild Wild West. Shit trash, man.
Oh man. So I'm trying to see anything else that you might want to say. Anything.
One of the most interesting things about this film to me is the fact that it had a $170 million budget, and it's a blockbuster failure, commercial failure, no matter how you slice it. But it did make money. It made $222.1 million worldwide, had a $27.6 million opening weekend. But the only reason I think that's interesting is because most of that money that they made, the joke is that it came from not underage, but people under 17 who wanted to go see South Park and American Pie, because those films came out the same weekend as Wild Wild West. So there's some 13, 14-year-olds bought tickets to go see Wild Wild West, but really snuck in the theaters to go see American Pie or the other movie I just said,
South Park.
Yep. Yeah. So that's always funny to me. So this really could have bombed if it didn't come out the same weekend as that.
Yeah, and I can vouch and go ahead and say that I was one of those. I definitely saw Wild Wild West in theaters, and then went back again and saw South Park with the Wild Wild West ticket. So I can vouch and say I did that.
I'm not even gonna knock you for seeing Wild Wild West in theaters because you didn't know yet.
No, I didn't. and I enjoyed it. I was. Man, listen, Will means a lot to me, man. So,
hey, man, Will Mama even told him you done better, baby.
Yeah, she did.
Like what Bishop say? I'll tell your mama you ain't shit.
Straight up.
Shout out to Pac, man. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
But yeah, man. I don't know, man. I just don't understand. I always felt it had to be nostalgia. Like you have to have some kind of nostalgic memory to like this movie. That's the only way. That's to take you back to a time and feel good. Because I don't know when you want to talk about scenes. I got to know the scenes that you come to this movie for, other than the racial undertones.
Those are the scenes, though.
So what do you feel about the rest of the movie?
As I watch this movie more and more, the script isn't that bad. Hold on, wait. Let me say why. Let me give you a little bit why. It's very believable in the sense of
fucking 80-foot tarantulas believable.
No, that's not what's believable. What's believable is that these white motherfuckers hated us so much that dude was so upset that they gave up slavery and they conceded to the North that they were willing to do whatever, and that means kill the president, take over America, become a traitor and sell it back to France and Europe, and leave a little bit for itself, as he said.
All right, man. I'll give you that.
That's believable.
That part.
Now, side note about that tarantula. You know the story on the tarantula, right?
I brushed over some bullshit about it, man. I didn't want to fill my brain with too much information about this movie.
So real quick, I'm gonna go into the trivia on this a little bit. If you don't know, Warner Brothers was supposed to make a Superman movie written by Kevin Smith. From Kevin Smith is from Silent Bob and Jay. Is that right?
Jay and Silent Bob.
Jay and Silent Bob. I'm sorry. So he's from that tandem, and obviously they got with Warner Brothers to make a Superman movie. Nicolas Cage had signed on to play Superman, and one of the set designers designed that tarantula for the Superman movie. They didn't want it to go to waste, so they figured out a way to use it in Wild Wild West. That's probably a sign where niggas should have been like, yeah, I don't know about this.
Once again, goes to the point I just made. When you have certain ideas like this has to be in the movie, instead of stopping and think like, what purpose does this serve in the movie?
Yeah, and it's 18. What year is it? 1870 something.
1869, I believe.
So how was a lot of this shit even possible? You know, I get Artemis is supposed to be like this super smart dude, and you know, and then there's always the movie moments of, you know, oh shit, we had our last straw. Hey, Jim West goes to Artemis and goes, hey, that bike you were talking about, was that just bullshit, or you think you can build it? And then the next scene, the nigga done built the whole bike. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, those are movie tropes. The film was filled with too many of those.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it was just like, all right, man, we like, this is every movie trope possible.
Yep.
Which makes it feel even more like a money grab. Like, if y'all just wanted some bread, just say that.
Just say that. Yeah. My man said, I mean? somebody owed me a whooping. Yeah. I listen. I just like Rich and that sick, twisted. Listen, I love some good some non-harmful racism. Is that a thing?
We talked about it a little bit last week in Crash. Like, there are some things that are just for me, it's always the audacity.
Yeah.
But that wasn't even this in this movie. It was definitely shot for shot. It reminded me a lot of Scary Movie 2.
Yes.
They were going back and forth. You know what I mean?
Said, so when my favorite, now this is definitely my favorite scene, is when Jim West and Loveless originally see each other, and oh yeah,
that's the best one of the film. Yeah. That's easily the best scene in the movie.
Nice of you to add some color to the party. Like, what? So you know I had to come and stand up. Like, just,
like something like this makes you want to come out, stand up. Hey, they was going back and forth.
He said, "Stand up, be accounted for." Hey, it's called him coon. It's a coonage. Yeah. Hey, man, they went back and forth, man.
Yeah, man. That's easily the best part of the movie. Easily, no question about it. But even then, that's a YouTube moment. I'll just YouTube that shit.
Yeah.
If I YouTube it, I've never YouTubed that scene in my life, but it is the best part of this movie. So that just lets you know I just don't have any interest in Wild Wild West, and it just doesn't.
Yeah,
Will Smith is, like I said, Will Smith is the saving grace and the one positive thing I will take away. But
they leaned on him a lot, like you said, kind of like the Eddie Murphy Beverly Hills Cop thing, especially the scene where he thought the young lady was Artemis disguised, and he, you know, tapped on her titties, and they get outside, and he's like, you know, in my homeland, and dude's like, in Georgia, he said, nah, Africa. Like, come on, man. Yeah, Will don't look like he nowhere near from Africa. Like, right. That shit just silly, man.
Yeah, the whole thing is silly. Like, it's just a silly ass movie. I want one of these movies to have a gangster ass scientist one day. So when like people like Loveless kidnap him, like, fuck you, and slap him or something like that, even though they know they about to die. Mm-hmm. So we ain't building shit for you.
Right.
You know, that would have made the movie more entertaining. And that's one way I'd have changed the movie. One of them, couple of them scientists had to be gangsters, because normally they do that, and then, you know, there's always the person that stands up and then they get shot. Anybody else want to say something? Yeah, we all want to say something. You got to kill all of us. You gonna shoot us anyway.
So when you get Tarantino, make him get some rights, some writing credits.
There's gonna be about 50, 11 niggas in the Tarantino movie with the hard ER. The hard ER. I love Tarantino, but golly, chill, bro.
He don't let up.
Yeah, man. Even if you just change it to an A once, just say this with the nigga. This nigga go ER every single
time.
trip.
Every trip.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I be sorry that I love his movie so much.
What your boy Gucci Mane say? Who go say something to quit, huh?
Yeah, man. Who gonna say so? Denzel did shit on Crimson Tide. The set of Crimson Tide. Denzel pulled up on Quentin. What's up, my man? What's up with all this shit? Because he was trying to pull that shit in the Crimson when he was doing rewrites, man. He was trying to pull that shit on that. Denzel saw that shit. Like, hold up, bro. What you on?
Yeah, you doing a little bit too much.
Yeah, man.
Facts.
All right, man. But shout out to nah, never mind. I ain't gonna shout out Quentin. Shout out to his movies though.
Yeah, shout out to his movies. Shout out to his movies, man. I'm super excited about the future of this pod, man. Like I know it might feel like this is all over the place, but this is the beginning of something special with you guys.
Just a sample, man.
This is a sample. Like I think a lot of you guys will be surprised to know that your favorite actor has a movie that he probably don't even want you to see. But that's what 100%. The fuck I'm here for. Because you're going to see that motherfucker, all right? I promise you. And you can hit my inbox. Let me know. Like, yo, what about such and such? Do he got one? Does she have one? Yep. Yep. Next week, we'll be talking about it.
And I'll say this, School, what I'm excited about, Shell, you have me on for certain episodes. There are a lot of good. Wild Wild West is just terrible. Like I can't get around it, y'all. I don't know what else to say. However, there are a lot of good bad movies that I love. Like I enjoy. Like I really love.
Like Soul Plane. That's your shit.
Yeah, but that's gonna be on Culture Guard. That's not even a guilty pleasure movie. That's because you don't even like Soul Plane, which is wild. But there's a lot of good bad movies that I can't wait to talk about, and those conversations are going to be so much, I guess, more fun because you can really dig into a lot of the nonsense.
Yeah,
Wild Wild West is just so, I said it earlier, elementary. It was so just surface level that you can't even take much to enjoy because it didn't give us that. But when you start digging in the bag, there's definitely some movies that I want to be a part of because they're just good classic shit that you can talk about.
Yeah,
I mentioned the break, faking the funk, all types of dumb shit. Chua, you gonna do Chua here, man?
One of the things that I say it when they hit the hood, they ain't hit the hood hard, boy.
Crazy, bro. Remember the fan was passing around the VHS. All the aunties was passing around the VHS, man. Crazy. The bootleg shit. Yeah, man, I remember that.
Came with the sequel. Shit.
I know they made a sequel. Did they make a third one?
I want to say they did, bro.
They might have, man. Twice is one of the movies, the gift that keeps on giving, man.
Yeah. It's kind of like, if you know what it is, though, it's the black version of Wild Things.
See?
Because it's like 3 of them.
Yeah, man.
Like 3 of them.
No doubt.
Yeah. So,
no doubt, man.
Real quick, I want to touch base on this because we didn't. Awards. This movie won awards. It ain't win what you think it won. It won Razzies. It's the one of the most awarded Razzie movies of all time. It won Worst Director, Worst Actor, Worst Couple. The shit was so bad. Kevin Kline was nominated twice. He was nominated for Artemis Gordon and The Prostitute. Like they was.
He should have been nominated for the president.
He was not.
Now that was probably his best part.
Yeah,
President Grant.
It was that movie, man. Sometimes I think to myself like how different it'd have been if Robin Williams would have been in it.
I get where you're going with that.
Like, like of course you can't get him, but it would have been definitely a whole different vibe. You know what I mean? Like Robin. I could see that. I honestly, I'm not saying it would have been good. Jim Carrey's too over the top. But if you bring that
wouldn't have worked. Jim Carrey could have been Jim West.
Yep, he could have. I could see that more than him being Artemis. So
yeah, for sure.
You know who else?
Who?
A sneaky one. I should know his name. It's Dave something, but he's Uncle Joey from Full House. he's very good at impressions and
Oh yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, like I could see him in that role as well. So there's
I
ways.
used to always get him mixed up with Dave Jeff Bridges from Dumb and
Yes.
Dumber.
Yep. That's him. Absolutely. So yeah, man. That's about it, man. I just
just FYI for those who don't know what a Razzie is, it is
go
the
ahead.
Raspberry Awards,
Yes.
which is an award show pretty much created to honor bad films, terrible films, awful films like Wild Wild West.
Mm-hmm.
They were nominated for 8 of them, won 5 of them. The one I don't agree with, I will say this. So just to finish my point, think of the Oscars. The opposite of that, that's the Razzies.
Yeah,
the one thing I don't disagree with is it won the Razzie for worst song from a film, which is Wild Wild West. They was bugging. Wild Wild West made it to like number 4 on the Billboard charts, maybe even number 1. That shit was a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Had Cisco on there when Cisco was scorching hot.
Mm-hmm.
Stevie Wonder sample. Come on, man. Cool Mo D.
Yep.
Wild Wild West was that was one. I don't think it was as big as Men in Black as far as the song Men in Black, but they was bugging giving a Razzie for that one. I should have looked up who else was nominated. They couldn't have been worse than Wild Wild West isn't even bad to even be in that category.
Well, the Razzies also are aired the day after the Oscars. So Holly Berry is the only actor/actress to ever win an Oscar and then go win her Razzie. Like she won an Oscar and then the next day went and got an Oscar.
And I think she picked it up. Like you gotta be a good sport and pick it up.
Yeah.
Speaking of picking up Razzies,
yep.
The original Jim West.
Yep.
I can't think of his name right now. I'll look that up while I'm talking. But he was so opposed to this movie because he felt what I felt and was like, "Yo, this shit trash. Like, what are y'all doing? This isn't our legacy. I'm not gonna make a cameo. I ain't doing nothing. I'm not promoting."
Nope.
But he told them that this shit was bad, and it ended up being bad.
It was.
And they got nominated for the Razzies, so he went to the Razzies himself and picked up the awards and delivered them to everybody who won.
Yeah,
that's my type of petty, man.
And it was a lot of winning.
Yeah, that's my type of petty. That like I told you. What's my man's name?
Man, what a great sport he was, man.
Who?
The actor
Robert Conrad,
yeah.
Nah, Robert Conrad wasn't a great sport. That was his. Halle Berry was a great sport.
Yes.
She picked up her own thing. Like, he was. Robert Conrad was a dickhead.
Oh yeah. He came in, was delivering. Okay, yeah.
I told y'all this movie was trash. Here's your proof. Other than your box office numbers, here's your proof.
Man, oh man, thank God. Thank God for South Park and
American Pie.
And American Pie. Both classics, by the way.
Yeah. So
both classics. So listen, brother. I am so happy that you I don't want to say stepped out your comfort zone because that's never, when we talking about movies, that's never a thing.
Right.
But I definitely appreciate you taking time out your busy day and your busy schedule and helping me set this up and get it how I want it. And we're going to take it to a whole nother level because this is just a sample. So, man, love you, brother. Appreciate you. Wow,
man. Proud of you, man. Like, for real, I'm excited to see where things go and where you take it. I know you have categories and some other structured things that you plan on doing with the show. And obviously, like we say all the time at the Culture Garden, the content is that's what helps us as well. So when you get some of these good bad movies for real, I can only imagine how those episodes are going to flow. And I'm excited to hear you with other people and just kind of get in your own groove. So I'm proud of you. Obviously going to be here to support, going to be here as a co-host and do what I can in that regards. But I'm happy to take your lead and see where you take this thing, man.
Thank you. Shout out to Ray P. I'm getting you on here too somehow. I don't know how, but I figured it out.
You gotta put Soul Plan on here. That's the only way. Rachel was prestige film and television. Prestige. She is not watching this bullshit.
I might have to produce that app.
Oh man. So all right, man. I'm proud of you, dog. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Love you, big dog. Appreciate y'all. Too, follow us. Connect with us. Whatever you got to do. Linktree, I'm sure will be up. All that good stuff, man. Y'all be cool. How y'all be cool?
Peace.